self-care is not selfish. It's actually the biggest part of showing love that you could offer to your family, your friends, and your community.
As women, we nurture and take care of the world. And so it's just so important to make your health, your self-care numero uno. So
get around people who are going where you want to go and who are where you want to be. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be in real estate, so I got around people who were doing things in real estate that I wanted to do.
So you might not be able to move things around or change what happened to you, but if you can change the way that you see it and how you're reacting to it, there's a way.
Just do what you have to do. There's no excuse. This morning, I knew that if I didn't get up at 4 in the morning and clear out my emails and do everything that I needed to do.
You don't want the government to dictate or a judge to dictate how your hard-earned sacrifice and wealth gets distributed to your family and your loved ones.
Our culture is embedded in American culture. There are people who come to America and engage in American culture, which is Black culture. So Juneteenth is really about Black culture, and it's about celebrating us, celebrating the different diasporas of Black people, even the dialects.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is Athenia Rodney, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC, and I am super excited. As always, we are trucking through our Black History Month with our Black authors. We have had some really dynamic authors in different levels and spaces. We had an all-ladies trilogy group. Last week, we talked about educating our communities and how to utilize wealth in our organizations. And today is going to be a little twist of what we expect. And I'm really excited to jump in with our speaker for today. We have one more week to our Black History Month. And how many people are aware that this is the 100th anniversary of us celebrating Black history? And it wasn't always considered Black History Month. It started as Black History Week, and then it extended to Black History Month. So now that we're at our 100th anniversary, I'd say it's about time for us to make this really and truly this 365 days of celebrating Black history, because our stories are not something that we can just say. We're infused. We are a part of American history. There are so many, if it were not for us, that other things would not have happened. And so we need to celebrate those things every day and not just during Black History Month. But I'm thankful for what we have, and we're going to continue to utilize what we have and to grow it and to expand upon it in different ways. And organizations like Juneteenth NYC helps to do that. And so today's conversation centers around one of the most powerful assets any person possesses, and that is their story. Their story is unique to them. No one else, twins, parents, nothing. No one can have the same story. Everyone's story is going to always be different. How they experience life is different. The things that happen to them are different. So their story is a powerful asset. So not just as a memory, but also as a form of entertainment. It can be a form of influence. It can be a form of healing, trauma, opportunity, legacy, all of it. That is what our story shares. And our story is something that can be passed on through generations as well, as we are learning from ours. Hence where Juneteenth even stems from. We are continuing to grow because of the legacy, the stories that we have heard, and how we have been able to utilize the stories to bring it forth in today. So our guest today is Mr. Anthony A.J. Joyner. He is a novelist, a serial entrepreneur, a technology innovator who has built platforms that turn voices into published authors and ideas into impact. That's my kind of guy. I'm all about the impact and how we are making our presence known in our community. So AJ is the founder of Bluesky, a software writing platform originally created to accelerate the writing process for authors. I'm interested in learning a little bit more. Like I said, I got 3 children. We were talking behind stage, and my kids are definitely interested in telling their stories. He has grown a tool trusted by universities, K-12 schools, government agencies, and community organizations across the country. And I'm really excited to know that he is also down here in what they call it, in the A. That's what they do. I'm still learning. I'm only 3 years in. I'm still learning. In the A, that's what they do. Through his programs, more than 500 children have become published authors, transforming young voices into confidence, ownership, and purpose. In partnership with Atlanta's mayor's office, the Housing Authority of New Orleans, and the Girl Scouts, whoop to the Girl Scouts. If you haven't gotten your cookies, get them now. Shameless plug. Before launching Bluesky, AJ developed software solutions for major institutions, including the CDC, Delta Airlines, and the Georgia Department of Transportation. You may also recognize his voice from the nationally syndicated Willie Moore Jr. show. Really? We have a famous person in our midst, yeah. Where each week he speaks encouragement into communities across more than 35 cities. Today, he joins us to explore a simple but life-altering idea. Your story is not small. Your story is not random. Your story can change lives, including your own, if you write it down and tell it. So let's welcome Mr. Anthony AJ Joyner to the stage. Hello. How you doing?
I am fantastic, Athenia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You are welcome. We're excited to have an infamous person in our midst. Oh my gosh. God. I am so thankful that you said yes to coming on and sharing your story and talking about a little bit about the why behind what you do. So I know there is some stuff that I probably left out that I didn't get to share. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're up to.
So about me, I think the biggest thing is that I'm really a small town kid, raised by my grandmother, small town Louisiana. And I was so impacted by all the influence that she had on, of course, me. And as a young child, she had to drop out of school to raise her siblings because her mother passed away and she never got a chance to get an education. Although all of her siblings went off to Southern University because she raised them. And then, of course, her children I went to Southern University, and it was sort of a family thing. She never received her education, but her impact on all of us and beyond. So I have cousins who work for the NBA. I have cousins who are professors at Harvard. I have, so many amazing doctors, lawyers, you name it, right? And it all stemmed from my grandmother. So in 2019, I started asking her questions, and I learned a lot of things about her. And a lot of times we look at our parents and we just see them as parents and grandparents. We don't see them as, they were once teenagers and they had crushes on people and they made mistakes, whatever. I started asking her questions and recording some of the answers. And it just taught me so much about her. And I realized, like, man, her story is amazing. And although it may never be a bestseller, I wanted to publish it as a book for my family. Because, I have the ability to, I taught myself how to do this, and I learned through trial and error. So that sort of started with her. And eventually I opened a self-publishing company. And this is a long, convoluted story of how it all came to be. But the precipice is, I think that our story specifically should be told because, again, they're actively erasing the stories that we have an opportunity to share. So I'm really big on us sharing our stories, not only personal stories, but stories of knowledge that we have that we can pass down to generations, different life experiences that we've had. And again, it doesn't have to be grandiose, but I think they're all important nonetheless. And I've heard people, sort of criticize like, oh, who would ever read that? Or it's not going to sell any copies. And I don't think that's the most important thing.
No, not at all.
I don't, right? You can, write a book that, in my case, for example, this is my grandmother's story. It's only important to my family and maybe the people that she touched. And here's the thing that a lot of us don't think about. In 3 generations, most of us won't be remembered anyway.
Right.
Right. So I've never met too many people that can tell me their great grandfather's name, first and middle name, right? So I think we can preserve our stories through books and, pass them down to generations. And even if you look, throughout history, the only stories that survive are the stories that are documented, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that really survive the test of time. So one of the first things that people do is they erase you when they want to erase you, is they stop telling your stories. So they remove Black history from schools. They burn down the Library of Alexander, for example, right? Like, the Greeks, right? They didn't want the story of where they got their knowledge from, so they burned it all down. And then they became sort of the purveyors of the storytellers, which is why, a lot of the religious practices that we practice today are a result of some of our original practices being erased, right? So
Absolutely.
I just think it's very important to be able to tell your story. And I can go on and on and on about that, but I'll be quiet.
No. I mean, what you're saying, what you're sharing is, I mean, a lot of, and there are a couple of things that you mentioned. One is, we may think that our story, our family story is not relevant, but to me, it is very relevant because it helps to tell the time frame, like what happened during that time frame. It also gives a perspective that other people don't typically have. And, what we sometimes think is only relevant to us, like, oh, nobody cares about how my mother baked a cake or how she made, how she created Christmas trees. And then lo and behold, years later, that ends up turning into a whole business. I go for Thanksgiving, we go over to my grand aunt's house. My grand aunt's, I think, 87 right now. And she, first of all, is she moving around more mobile than some of her younger siblings who are in their 60s. Right. And so she's been, like, they've been playing games. Have you ever played Spoons before? This game called Spoons?
Oh my God. Many moons ago as a child.
Right. So just think about when the Spoons was created, like a simple game. It was based off of, like, okay, you had some cards and some spoons and you did all of this stuff. And this past Christmas, somebody took it and they made it into an official game and they're selling it at Walmart, at the stores. And my aunt was like, this game we've been playing for so many years and somebody took it and made it into something. So again, we think that things are not relative, but it is very much relative. It is something that Spoons now tells a story about our households, about how we celebrated holidays, about how we took up our time. It wasn't just playing on video games and stuff like that. Like this is how we interacted. And during COVID, that was that time for us. Like, we used that time. I had weekly meetings with my family and we were learning each other's, to your point, we were learning each other's real names. Like, everybody was Booski and Bambi and all of these and Uncle Tutu and Toto. And we was like, that's not your real name. So, like, books like you're sharing, being able to tell the story is so very important. So tell me a little bit. So tell us what exactly is Bluesky?
Okay. So it's pronounced Bluxy.
Bluxy. Okay.
And yes. So initially when I built it, and I'll get into that, but I wanted it to be named Booksy, Booksy. But of course that is a hair booking appointment. That's a hair booking app. I mean, an appointment booking app, right? So we had to play around with the name, but we ended up with Bluxy. But anyway, so the way it came about is, of course, you just talked about during the pandemic. So that's where it started, right? So I mentioned earlier that I started a self-publishing company. I'm on a radio show. Actually, it's based in Atlanta, but it's nationwide. It's called the Billy Moore Jr. Show. And we're in, I think, 50 or so markets across the United States.
Nice.
I started a brand called Books Across America. And what I did with Books Across America is I would go on the radio and I would say, hey, if you want me to come do a book workshop in your town, just send me an email here. And I put my email out, and then I would have people, and because it's a faith-based show, I had pastors call me from around the country. And they would say, hey, AJ, come to Detroit. We have, we have 50 people that want to write a book, right? So they would pay for my travel, room, board. A lot of times they would give me a stipend. So if they didn't, it didn't matter because I wanted to go anyway, as long as they covered travel. And in some instances, I paid for myself just because I wanted to do it, right? So I would go and do workshops in partnerships with churches and nonprofits and other organizations around the country. And the pandemic happened. Right? So I started that in 2017. 2020, that's when the pandemic happened. Of course, the world froze, right? What I did is I took all those people that I was working with in different cities, I threw them all into a Facebook group. Okay. And I continued doing workshops and things like that, but it's webinars. And as fate would have it, one of my dear friends, her name is Kim Ford. We were working on her book. The reason I brought her up specifically is because she and I have this rivalry. She went to Grambling and I went to Southern University. So we have this that's our HBC rivalry. Anyway, so my account rep that was working with her, he ended up getting COVID, right? So he had to pass all the authors that he was working with, he had to pass them over to another account rep. And he was working with 5 authors at the time, right? So now every author had every account rep had no more than 5 authors they were working with. He passed her to another account rep, and all of a sudden this new account rep has 10 authors.
Oh, wow.
Right. And we were using, Google Docs for document storage, Microsoft Word, and, all things. So the editor from her new account rep ended up getting COVID too.
Oh, Lord.
So what happened is I'm sitting at my desk on a Friday night. It's November, I think 11th, I think it was November 11th. And I get a text message from her. It's like 11:45 at night. I'm like, okay, this is not good, because I knew she had a book launch coming up. So and the text message said, call me. I was like, okay. So I called her 11:45 at night. I'm like, hey, Kim. She's like, AJ, I love you to death, but this has been the worst experience ever. I understand people got COVID, et cetera, but now I'm sitting up here looking at a box of books and it's the wrong version. She had ordered we had sent to her 300 copies of the wrong book, of the wrong version of her book. And she had a book launch coming that following Tuesday. So, we refunded her money. We got everything straightened out. We had to delay the book launch for a week, but everything ended up being squared away. And we're great friends to this day.
Are you talking about Kim Ford from Christian Cultural Center?
I don't know.
She's down here in Atlanta?
Yeah, she does Jubilee magazine, and she's a professor at Morehouse.
Yep, yeah, I just text her. I know Kim. I do work with her, so we both go to Christian Cultural Center Atlanta.
Oh God, I love Kim. Yeah, so that's the only tell her I said what's up.
I just told her to log on. I said I'm interviewing you right now.
Yeah. So anyway, Kim was the precipice, and instead of me, being business as usual, I could not sleep that night. And I was like, why isn't there a platform that allows people to collaborate in building, if they're writing their book, right? The other thing I thought was, when I work with authors, part of the process that I took them through, because I work with a lot of seniors because I was partnering with churches, the process that I took the seniors through was I would help them organize their story, and they would have a PowerPoint presentation. And I would say, okay, at the top of the PowerPoint presentation, I want the name of your story. And then I just want you to give me a list of bullet points for the details in the story, right? And then go to the next slide and do that with every story. So they would have all their chapters as presentation or slide presentations, and the story for each chapter would be bullet points. And what happened is I would record them telling the story for each chapter. And I would send that away to a company called Temi, T-E-M-I. And we would transcribe whatever they said, and we call that the dirty first draft of the chapter, right? So that way, again, we have senior citizens who, 75, 80 years old that couldn't type, but we were able to very quickly help them, because now you could just speak your story. Well, what I did with Looksee is I built AI-powered voice to text into the software. So when you add a chapter, you can just click on the microphone and you can speak your story out loud, and AI will transcribe it for you. Right. So now you're speaking your story, and AI does the cleanup. So that it was Kim who inspired it. And again, I can't thank her enough, because even though it was a mistake that started the whole thing, here I am, what is this, 6 years later now? And we've been now, we're in universities. We published 500 children. I actually built another layout for dissertations. We have a layout for grant writing. We are working with city government. So I have a partnership with the mayor's office here in Atlanta. I have a partnership with the mayor's office in DC. We work with the Harlem Children's Zone in New York. We have 13 schools in Beaufort, South Carolina. We have a truancy program, a truancy diversion program. So children will be, now instead of being sent to a youth detention center, they'll come through our 12-week writing program. Where they'll write their stories as a sort of a cathartic process. And because we have the software, we can scale it all over the country because everybody can use the software. So again, we've scaled this out. And now, again, we're even looking for more partnerships with, different truancy centers. We got our yes from our first judge. He was like, "Oh my God, this will be amazing." Now we also built in artificial intelligence so that you can speak your story and then it can fashion it into a better story for you, right? So again, it's still your story, but now AI is enhancing it. And again, it's optional for people to use. But if it's cool, I'll do a quick demo and show you how it works. I think that might be awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I built that as a way to streamline and make it easier for groups of people to write stories. So for example, we have our classrooms that are using it at schools. The educator can create the book in the software and assign chapters to students. So each student gets their own chapter in a book, right? So we're able to publish schools. And even with Jordan Middle School, like I did a career day there and we had all the students write they did poetry. So during the career day, they all got on different teams and they wrote poetry about whatever the topic was. And they poetry and that all went into a book, right? So that's how, again, we've published 1,400 authors to date. We have partnerships with different fraternities and sororities that are writing different books in that way. We have a 1,000-person pilot program in the prison system where incarcerated populations are using the software to tell their stories behind bars. So again, I think my ultimate goal I'm a big dreamer. I've always been a big dreamer.
So Anthony, so with this, the stories, where do they go or where do they get published? Like, is there a place where you're housing all of these stories, or is there like a database where people can go and find the stories of the individuals?
They publish them to Amazon.
Okay. So people can physically purchase books, like hard copy books.
That's right. So my software is just a writing tool. So think of my software as think about it as a much better version of Microsoft Word that's specifically for authors, right? Because you can do everything in Word, right? But if you're not an advanced user, you may not know how to add a table of contents, or you may not know how to do a page break and insert and add your H1 header and H2 headers and all those things. Well, my software just made it easy because it's one click, right? You click add chapter and all of a sudden it adds a chapter very easily. And again, I'll show you in a second on a demo, but yeah, so Blooksy is the writing tool, and then they publish to Amazon or to Ingram Sparks or to wherever they want to publish. Now, the version that we're working on in 2027, you'll be able to publish directly to Amazon.
Okay.
From my software.
Right? Really? Okay.
So again, the whole premise is how can we streamline that process and make it easier for people? And then how can we reach more audiences? So it started out specifically as a writing tool, but once I saw the impact, I started to create services that offered it to other groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I love what you're saying, and I love how you have been able to cater it to, I love the idea being able to tell the story of those individuals, especially in prison. Like, they have a story to tell. How did they end up there? What have they learned from being there? Like, their own transformation process. What's their hopes and dreams of once they leave? Like, all 100%. Of those things are coming to mind as you were talking. And even for the kids. So one thing that came to mind to me is about like authorship. What have you seen as far as an impact of like, say, a child seeing their name on the book? Or someone who was incarcerated seeing their name being a published author? What have you seen as the impact from that?
So I think for the children, I think it's a couple of different things. It turns them into producers instead of consumers, right? A lot of our children well, we know this. They spend their time on YouTube, TikTok, all these platforms, and they're constantly consuming information, right? But what I've seen, even in my daughter, like I published her, and I forced her to do her first one, right? And I told her, if we're going to send you to these summer camps, and she's been fortunate enough to go to Barcelona every summer to a different camp and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're going to write an essay every time you come back. If every trip you take out of the country, you're writing an essay, every experience. So begrudgingly, she did it, right?
Of course.
And then when I published the first one, she was like, I don't want anybody to read that. And then all of a sudden she came to me one day out of the blue. She's like, Daddy, I want to write my own children's book. Right. Oh. And now she just finished the story, but now she's taking ownership in it. Right. So seeing her name in print and realizing like, wait a minute, these are the things that I wrote. Now they're on Amazon. So again, part of her was embarrassed because these are just essays about her life experiences. But now she's like, I want to tell the story that I want to tell. And she's been a swimmer now for 3 years. So her story is now about the challenges that little Black girls have with their hair if they want to be swimmers.
Absolutely.
Right. Her story, her voice, her creation. Right. So now when you see your story in writing that you created, now you understand you can own your story. You can share the story the way that you want it to be told. When I asked her why she wanted to tell that story, she was like, well, I wanted to quit swimming, but I'm glad that I stuck with it. But I was really frustrated because I can't wash my hair every day because of, it'll fall out and and my hair is different. That, there are only out of the 100 or so girls in her school, and there are only 3 or 4 Black girls on the school that have to worry about hair. Right? Seeing children become creators and then seeing the lights come on in their eyes once they realize something that they've written, now they can take that, package it up and sell it. It is crazy. And then one of the things that we do with our children in our schools, we have a book signing for them at the end of the program.
Oh, right? I love that.
So then they're celebrated by their parents, by their peers. Then they can make a little money. We went to the APA book fair. APS book fair a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was last year in November, where they had children authors there that they highlighted across APS. Right. So much. I saw 11th grader. His book was $14. I saw him sell about 40 copies.
Wow.
Wish I had 40 of it when I was in 11th grade for $13, right? So he made a quick little $400 and change selling his book.
Yeah.
Right? So again,
agency,
right? Entrepreneurship, creativity, project management, money management, like they learn all these skills. And then the evaluation, right? Because they went from what they first wrote to the final copy. There's editing, there's all these skills that they're learning. And what I did, and I'll tell you about my summer program, but we aligned some of the work that we're doing with we have them start out with kids that don't know us when we first work with them. They start out doing hip hop because they want to write raps, right? So we start with the raps, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, this rap is actually a poem. It's insane. That's what I did with Jordan Middle School the first year. I had all the kids write a rap. And they had to, get on a team and perform that rap. And I was like, okay, so that's a poem. And they were like, wait a minute, a rap is a poem. And again, to us, because we learned differently back, at least I'm 52, right? So, when I was growing up, we had to learn the way that they taught us, right? There's no creative expression. You learn what they taught you. Well, now kids are learning so many different ways through TikTok and through social media and from peers and on and on and on. So I created the program as a way to make it fun. And then we layer the teaching in on the back of it. So I created a thing called Essay Talk, where I'm walking into a group of kids, 9th through 11th graders. And in 1 hour in a room full of kids that didn't know me, within an hour, they have all memorized that version of their essay that they just chose within the hour because I'm using TikTok to teach them, right? So again, we're seeing these results, and because I'm not an educator, I'm a tech guy. The principals that I'm meeting and the people in education are like, AJ, you got to start collecting data and you got to start showing the progress and da-da-da-da. So I'm aligning myself with people who understand how to do all that. But for me, there's a couple of things that are important in life. Number one, are you having fun? Are you having an impact? Would you do it for free? And are you willing to keep going even if all else fails? Is this something you would do? Right. So it checks all those boxes in every aspect of it. So yeah, I'm having a great time. We're helping children tell stories. We're helping lots of groups tell stories, and I'm just excited about where it's going and about the potential partnerships along the way that I can establish.
Oh, well, we're gonna have a conversation after this because my mind is going all over the place of people who I could introduce you to, even partnering with us with Juneteenth. I'm doing some stuff here with the NAACP with some of the school. Like, there's so many things that my mind is just like, yep, check. Like,
I would love to. One of the things that we did in the Beaufort, South Carolina, the Gullah Geechee community, is we have the seniors in high school interview some of the elders in the Gullah Geechee community. Then they're turning those stories into anthologies, right? So
when you're doing the stories, I know you talked about the programming to capture and dictate what is. So is there another part of that program that is also helping them, like giving them a list of questions that they should ask, or so that you are I guess walking away with the right information or the information that's going to actually tell a story? Because I feel like I have a 9-year-old. If I say, "Hey, tell me about your day," she's like, "It was fine."
Yes.
When I start asking questions like, what were you most excited about that you did today? She was like, "Oh, I was in this class and I made this and I did this." And I was like, "Okay, why did it make you excited?" So like, asking the right questions is also a part of telling or creating the story does the programming also help with asking questions so that the right information is being brought out?
So we didn't build it into the program. Just because that level of nuance. So here's the other thing, I'm bootstrapping, right? And what that means is my revenue is generated by the number of licenses I sell, or the number of people who buy my literacy program or our truancy program. So what I did is we have training, and it's in the training. The questions are in the training.
Okay.
So again, and we have a section set aside specifically where you answer those questions. And the easiest way, and I'll show you in a second, it'll all make sense. But, if you answer the questions that are asked in the training, the chapter writes itself, right? Because again, to your point just a second ago, if I ask you, how are you doing this morning? You can be like, "Oh my God, today was amazing, da, da, da." But if I say, "Okay, well, so tell me about traffic on the way here." You're like, "Oh my God, there was this white Range Rover that almost ran me off the street. And this lady was laying on her horn, even though the traffic wasn't moving at all," right? So there's much more depth. If I start to pull the layers back. So I understood that very early on. And we actually did that when we were working before I built the software. When I worked with senior citizens in different churches and things like that, we had the questioning framework that we call it the SWEEP frameworks. It's an acronym. SWEEP is situation, world, environment, emotional state, and physical appearance, right? So we have a series of questions that follow that framework. And then the storytelling framework we have is called Star Story Solution. So who's in the story, what happened, and how did it turn out, right? So if you follow those two frameworks, that'll get you to a story very quickly. And we've done it with 8th graders, we've done it with people incarcerated, we've done it with high schoolers, we've done it with executives, we've done it with professional athletes. It works across every audience.
I love this. So let's go to showing. Let's show the platform. Yeah, let's show and tell.
It's time to show and tell. Okay, so let me share my screen.
I think we could pull it up. We have. I think James, do we have it up on our end? We have it up.
Okay, go. I'm gonna share screen. Share screen, and there we go. Share. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep. Okay, we see it now.
Okay, do you see? Tell me what you see so I can make sure that you see Blipsy.
I see books. I see a bunch of different books.
Okay, perfect.
The code, how to manage your energy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So this is the dashboard inside of Blipsy. Okay. So again, these are different books that are either in progress or these are demos that I've done to show other people. So I'll walk you through the process. So we also have collaboration. So these are books that other people have shared with me. The original thing that I shared with you about with Kim Ford is that if we had collaboration where the author could work in the same manuscript, that cuts down the number of errors that you can have, because a lot of companies still to this day, they're just emailing manuscripts back and forth, right? So when I'm done, I turn on track changes, but then I email it to my editor, or that's the way that a lot of people do it. Well, what happens is over time, I'll have two versions in my email. You'll have a version of your email. Then we have the version that's on our desktop and the version that's say, AJ version 1_ February 19th, right?
Right.
Everybody's been through that, right? Well, here, everybody works in the same version at the same time. So our publishing companies are using it. So this is the layout, and I'll show you in a minute. It has copyright built in, dedication, table of contents. It gives you instructions on what to do. Table of contents, it automatically updates the table of contents. It does the page breaks and everything for you. So you simply just click add chapter, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process. So let me go back. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, and we can.
Okay, give me a second. I lost my window.
We lost you, but we can still hear you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we still see your screen. We still see
All
the
right.
book.
So to start a book, you just click on create book, right? And then you choose the type of book that you want to create. So I'm going to call this.
No, we don't see that part.
Oh, you don't see it?
No, we're still seeing the actual like the AI dilemma, beyond the static.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm on a different. I think this is not the screen. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, can you see it now?
Still seeing the same platform, the same.
Just a moment. I think I lost my window. Okay, perfect. Can you see it now? Me clicking through it?
Nope, still the same thing. Yeah, you may need to stop
Refresh.
and reshare.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let me stop. How do I stop that? Okay, stop screen. Okay, let me try this again. This time I'll try to be smart. Share screen. And okay, can you see it now?
Still seeing the same.
AI dilemma?
Yep.
Okay, yep, I'll just reshare it. Okay, so you click create book. Did you see that?
Yes, it changed.
All right, now you check the type of book you want to create. So I'm going to call this Juneteenth. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it Tony Joyner. That's what I was called growing up, Anthony Joyner, Tony Joyner. All right, so now if you notice, it already has a title. I didn't put in a subtitle. Copyright is already here and preloaded. All you have to do is add your ISBN number, and it'll see it automatically updates with your information. Dedication page is already there. It gives you instructions on what to put there. Table of contents automatically updates as you add content. All the other front matter is there. Okay. You still following?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go to chapter. So this first chapter, I'm going to call this Juneteenth. Okay. Now I'm going to add another chapter. I'm going to call this the history of Juneteenth. And the third chapter, I'm going to call this Black History Month. Okay, you see it?
Yeah.
Now, if you notice over here to the left, it's very quickly added those chapters. Back to the table of contents, automatically updated it. Okay.
Nice.
Now, if I want to change the order, because if you notice, history of Juneteenth comes before Juneteenth, I just select edit, and I can just drag and drop to reorder the chapters.
Wow.
Right? So now you click done, and now it's reordered your chapters for you. Imagine how long what you would have to do if you needed to reorder chapters in Microsoft Word.
Copy, paste, move it off.
Update your table of contents. Imagine if you had a chapter full of content and you had to do that. So I'm going to show you another example. Here's a book that has all the content is done. So now I can go here and I can just move a chapter up here, right? And boom, it's done. I move the bottom chapter all the way up to the top. See how that? So again, I spent 20 years building software in corporate America, and I finally just decided to build my own. Okay, now we're going back to the Juneteenth book. Now, so I'll do the history of Juneteenth. So here, this is where I'm telling you If you were using it, we have a series of questions that I would ask, and then you just answer those questions. You don't answer them in story format. You just answer the questions one at a time in the notes section. Okay. So Juneteenth was when our ancestors and in Texas were finally, I'm just summarizing, free. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you would answer all your questions here. Then you click on transcribe here and you just click on start recording. Okay. So once the microphone comes on, Juneteenth is a celebration.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Juneteenth is a celebration of slaves being freed that was delayed to slaves that were living in Texas because the slaveholders didn't want them to find out the information. So they delayed them finding out for as long as possible. Once our ancestors found out that they were freed, they began to celebrate their freedom, and they marked it historically as the Day of Freedom for our enslaved ancestors in Texas. Okay. So now now let me delete all my talk before. Okay. Now, remember I was telling you about my grandmother. She is an amazing storyteller. So I'm going to copy this right here. And the Aven AI, that's named after my grandmother. Her name is Neva, Neva. So this is named after my grandmother. So if you click try Aven and I copy and paste this over here, and I call this Juneteenth. And I'll put keywords, narrative story, okay? And I click use Aven. It's going to take what I've written here and it's going to create 3 narrative versions of that. So you as an author, imagine if this was your own personal story, it'll take your own personal story and it'll retell the story. This is totally optional. We have some people use it as inspiration, because the hardest thing and the thing that I built this for the most is people struggle with the blank page, right? When you sit down and there's nothing there, there's something mental that happens. But we talk at a pace of 175 to 200 words a minute, right? So imagine, you can talk out the first version of your story, and then you drop it into AI, and it'll retell your story, right? So again, if you notice here, it's told 3 different versions. I can click on the save button right here. That first version, save the second version, and save the third version, and close it. And now I can expand this, and I can choose which one of these that I want to use as the baseline for my first chapter, and paste it over here. And voila, we went from not having anything to having a first draft of a chapter in less than 5 minutes. Now, collaboration, you just click here and you just add somebody's email address. Doesn't matter what email they have, whether it's Gmail or Hotmail or their company.com. You just add them here and give them the permission level. They'll receive a link in their email that allows them to collaborate on the book with you. So your editor, your team, your sister, your co-author, your anthology person, they all can work together. Here's an example. This is a school that we're working with right now. This is our Kids Beyond the Static. All these are our students that have different chapters, right? So our students log in, they upload their information. As you can see, a lot of them haven't done their work yet.
Of course.
Right. And they'll probably all try to do it the week we say it's the deadline. But our educators are able to monitor their whole classroom and the parents, and they can see, hey, have they done their work, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, so I built this during the pandemic to streamline the process. And like I said, we have scaled this to multiple audiences. And my goal for the entire thing was to help our stories be told. And by proxy, we were able to help other audiences. So here's the APA. It's already formatted APA for research writing. So all of our universities that are using this, they come in. This is built for Kennesaw State because they have the biggest licenses. But you go in and you add your content here, and they're saying it's saving each professor hundreds of hours a year because students are using it to write their research. And now they just put their content here, it automatically formats it for them. So when they export it here, it's automatically laid out for APA. the most recent APA standards.
That's amazing.
So we are working with APA. We are working with the grant writing companies. It's not public, just because grant writing is so big. And every time I mention grant writing, I have a million nonprofits that are like, I want to write a grant. But we're working with organizations that have budget for it, because it's not inexpensive. I'll say that,
Right.
to build all the different layouts. So we only work with large organizations as it relates to grant writing. And eventually we'll be able to just open it up publicly. But for now, it's only with those organizations. So yes, this is Blooksy. I built it during the pandemic, and I'll share a couple other things while we're sharing.
So now, how much does something like this cost for an individual? Or
it's $300 a year.
$300 a
$300
year.
a year, and that gives you, if you write as many books as you want, you have the whole kit and caboodle.
And it will automatically publish it to Amazon, or is there another step that you need to go through in order to have it then published?
There's another step. We provide a blueprint, a step-by-step guide to get it up on Amazon, with setting up your account, how to, price, like all that's included in the guide that you get once you buy your license and you're ready to publish. We give that to you for free.
Nice. And what about, because I'm an Audible book person, so is there an Audible version of how to get this published as well?
That's totally separate. Separate. Because again, audio, that has to do with, you need a microphone, you need production, you need, you can hire someone to read it off, off one of the platforms. But we didn't want to get into the audio game at all, because then you're getting into audio editing and all of those things, and that's a different business.
Okay. Awesome. This is really great.
Yeah, thank you. So any questions? Any other questions?
Yeah, I see. I mean, we got people saying this is awesome. Apologies for coming in late. Is this through the Blooksy platform? So how do people get to it? How do people get to?
Yeah, just go to Blooksy.com, Blooksy.com, and you just click on. You go through the author portal. So when you go to Blooksy, I'll tell you what. Let me show you here. Let me stop sharing, and I'll show you. Stop.
And while you're doing that, can you share what's a good advice that you would give to first-time writers who may feel overwhelmed?
So what I mean, honestly, and I say this, I'm the owner of Blooksy. If you don't buy Blooksy, you want to start with organizing your stories first, right? What we do with Blooksy is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
You can't see it yet? Okay. So the way we help our authors, you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Wait, give me a second. I lost my screen again. Okay. So the way we have our authors, we'll come in and create a book, and we'll give our authors, literally, we'll say, you got 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? I want you to tell me every story. So for example, if I'm writing a story of my grandmother, I'll ask my grandma, okay, grandmother, tell me the stories that you remember most about life. Whether they were great stories, they were sad stories, they were, what are the stories that impacted your life the most? And we don't write them out. We just write them in as chapter title. Oh, let me see. It's slowing down. Give me a second here. Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
And can you also upload a story? Like if I recorded my family, like I have the audio from COVID, could I upload like that audio and it transcribe it?
We're working on that right now.
Okay.
Well, actually, we're working on upload a manuscript right now. Right now, when people already have it written, they can work with one of our account reps, and we'll copy and paste the story into Blooksy for them.
Nice.
Right. But we're working on the ability to just upload it directly to Blooksy. And then we're also working on the ability to upload your transcription as well. Right. So when I work with people, I'll say, give me your top 10 stories. So it could be childhood fight with sister, and then you just click add. The next one could be, first dance in junior high. The next one could be, first high school basketball tryout, right? So we'll give people 10 minutes to give us all their top stories. And if you notice, it's automatically updated in the table of contents real time, right? So after that 10 minutes, people are surprised because they'll come up with 25 or 30 stories that they didn't even realize that they were like, oh my God, right? When you sit down to write a book the traditional way, what happens is you're like, okay, I'm going to tell the story about my first fight. And I'm like, Raymond and I were, doing XYZ, blah, 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 blah. And then by the time it's over, you're like, okay, what's the next story? And then, so there's this mental load because you're trying to write it and think about it. And then what also happens is we force people to not edit while you write.
Right. Just purge.
First draft is a purge. But in the art process, you can't even purge because your first draft is all bullet points. It's not even, don't even write it, just tell us bullet points, right? Then you use those bullet points to speak it out loud into the transcription. So now you're using the bullet points to sort of frame your story, and now you're speaking it into the transcription. And now you went from, oh my God, I couldn't do anything, to now you have all of this, this transcription of what you said, and writer's block is gone now.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
So I built the software to mimic that process. Now let me show you here, since we are, let me go back here.
But your screen is frozen. We're not seeing where you're at. We're still seeing the first page.
The first page? Oh, wow. Okay. Let me unshare it again. It keeps freezing. Stop share. Let me try this one more time. Love technology when it does
when it works. I always say that when it does what it's supposed to do, but when it don't, it is not the greatest at all.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I see creative writer, a child in a school.
Yeah, so this is creative writing. This is for universities, and this is for our literacy program for schools. Okay. So, but if you want to write a book, you just click Explore, and you just click here, and you click Sign Up. And it'll, because I'm already logged in, it's going to take me there.
Okay. But
it'll take you here to sign. You just click Sign Up here, and that's it. That's how you get started. And like I said, this has been an amazing journey. It's not been all fun, and it will be, I can't wait till Beyonce tweets out, hey guys, y'all need to go check out Blipsy so you can write your stories, and we get, 300,000 people to go sign up at once. But it's been an amazing journey, Athenia, and I love it. And I've been able to partner with so many publishing companies and individual authors, and it's one of the weird things that happens, because I've worked with some author coaches, and they're like, well, they're gonna start working with you. And I'm like, no, think about this as a better Microsoft Word. It's not me versus you. I built this to empower you.
Right. Supporting the work that you're doing to make your life a lot easier.
Correct. But yeah, so that's what we've been building.
This is amazing. Like I said, we need to talk more about some of the ways that we can get you infused in some of the stuff that we're working on, and some projects that I think that this would be amazing to partner. I'm speechless. Like I wrote down my notes. I have a couple of judges. You brought up judges. Like you said, a couple of things that I'm like, yeah, I want to connect you to some individuals. I did have one last question about dissertations. Have people been able to use this to help them work on a dissertation for school?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, that's what, our partnership with universities, we have students writing their dissertations in it. It makes it so much easier because you don't have to worry about all the APA formatting. It's done for you. You just export it.
Anthony, this has been really amazing. As we closing out, I have one last question before we end that we ask everyone that joins us, and you started to talk about it, but what does Juneteenth mean to you?
So it's kind of like what happens when the truth is has been hidden from you. And then you realize all this time that you've been living a lie. So you have our people that were living in slavery. Again, first of all, that whole institution of slavery let's not even talk about that, because we know how horrible and atrocious that was. But then to further hide it from people, so that they don't even realize that their life has been changed. So they're still accepting this reality that's not true, right? So I think, just like we're finding out in the news right now, there are so many things that have been hidden from us, right? Yeah. And that's exactly what Juneteenth was. It was the gap between what you know and what reality is. That's what it represents to me. So, for me, it's like a mirror into understanding that, the reality that you live in, it can be a lot different. And I think that one of the ways that it can be different is by telling your story, right? The reason that they found out, and again, this is on another deep dive podcast that I understand, or that I have. There's a podcast called Black History 365. I think you should check it out.
Okay.
But they did a deep dive, and you know how right now you kind of maybe you heard things about, there's this group of people that run the world. It's a secret group of people, right, and they do everything. Like, we've heard about that for decades. We've heard about, they drink babies' blood, and we've heard about all of these things, but we don't know. We're just finding out that a lot of that's true, right? That's exactly what happened with Juneteenth, with the people that were freed then. They heard about it, but they weren't empowered to do anything. And even after they got the news, the people still tried to fight them the same way that they're trying to fight the Epstein files, right? They still fought it, and they still did everything. And then finally, the whole institution had to come down, right? So I think that, it's about understanding that reality can be different than you think it is, but you can also create your own reality by taking action. So I think I have this saying, it's you take fast action, but you stay patient for results. Right. So, do everything that you can do, and understand that the results may be a little bit delayed. So I'll use that for Blooksy. I built it, and I'm working every day, and I'm doing all the hard work. And, one day I'll look back and say, oh my God, I remember all that. So I think that for Juneteenth specifically, it's, there's a reality out there that's different than the reality that you live in, but you can help create that reality. And freedom, again, there's the living in freedom and the acceptance that you're living in freedom. But once you realize that the opportunity is there, you have to step into it and embrace it like our ancestors did, right? And then you take that and you turn it into something that you celebrate. So I think, it's liberation, right? It's the liberation of understanding that you are free, and you get the same liberation when you write a book and tell your story.
Absolutely. That was really powerful. That was fast action, but strong, but fast action, but stay patient for results. That's definitely powerful, and definitely a space that I think a lot of us are in right now in this waiting period. So yes. Thank you so much, Anthony. It was a pleasure having you to join us, pouring into us today with your wisdom, your warmth, with all of the examples of what you've shared on purpose, wellness, and telling your story. So I'm going to put you back behind stage. We'll drop your information, your website in the chat so that we can share with others who are interested. Because I think, and if you're interested in following him, is at AJ Joyner on Instagram. I think at the end of the day, we're all just trying to find ways to share our story, and we're thankful that you created this platform to be able to help us to do so. So thank you.
Thank you, Athenia.
You are very welcome. And I'll be backstage in a moment to talk with you a little bit more. This was really great, y'all. I hope y'all got a lot. I was sharing, texting a couple of my friends, like, y'all got to join. This is really good. People, if y'all missed it, the beginning, go back and watch it. Go and take a look at the site. We have to do more to support our people and to support each other. and to circulate the Black wealth. And we talk about that so much, but we're not doing our due diligence to do it. So as we close today's session, we're reminded that history is not only written by famous people, it is written by people like you and I. So if you do not have a book out there yet, this is your opportunity to go and start thinking about what that might look like. You have a story. You have a story to tell. It's inside of you. Your life story, like I shared at the top of this, the live, is only yours. Only you have had that experience. And so we want you to be able to share what that is. Anthony Joyner has shown us that storytelling is not about your ego. It's about access for our ancestors, and access to our children, access for our future individuals to come, for them to learn about history. It's about access to confidence. It's about healing. It's about telling your stories of opportunity, where your reflection, think spaces where you've gone wrong and where you've learned from it. When a child becomes an author, they don't just write a book. They rewrite how they see themselves, and they're able to retell their story or rechannel their story to something better. When an adult tells their story, they don't just share their memories, they create permission for others to exist boldly. I know when I learn the stories of my ancestors, I stand a little bit prouder, a little bit taller, and I fix my crown on my head to make sure that others know I know where I came from, and I know where I'm going. Stories preserve families, stories strengthen communities, they shape our futures. So your story may be the answer someone else has been searching for. So write it. Go out there and write it. Just write it down. So thank you again, AJ, for reminding us that authorship is not reserved for a few. It is available to anyone willing to own their voice. And to everyone watching, write it down, speak it, share it, because your story can change lives. We love you. We appreciate you. And thank you for joining us. Athenia Rodney, Juneteenth NYC. Have a great one.
From the roots of tradition to the rise of reconnection, where history meets the heart of Africa. Celebrate freedom, culture, and homecoming. This isn't just a trip. It's a return. The motherland is calling. Will you answer?
Hello, hello, hello.